My mother, I don't know who she heard it from, believed that the cries of newborns could attract wealth. So, she forced my sister to get pregnant repeatedly, bear children, and then take those infants out into the yard to beat and scold them until they cried themselves to death. The desperate wails echoed day and night, and yet, our family genuinely grew richer, little by little. I asked my mother if she wasn't afraid of karmic retribution, but she just burst into boisterous laughter. They were just ghost fetuses picked up from the cemetery, she scoffed. What retribution is there to fear? As mother said that, she placed the baby directly into my arms. My hands trembled with fear, and I quickly retreated a few steps. Look at you, what are you afraid of? She chided. I was just joking. Mother shoved the baby directly into my hands and then gave a slight push to my back. It's almost time, hurry up and go outside. I can't believe I gave birth to someone as useless as you. You can't even hold a baby properly. I didn't dare say a word, quickly placed the baby on the wooden table and rushed back inside the house. Soon after, the whistling sound of a rattan whip echoed from outside, mingled with the desperate cries of the infant. Cry louder for me. Didn't I just feed you milk? Why are you crying so weakly? The whipping grew more violent, and mother began to laugh out loud. That's a good cry. My fortune is almost here. My mansion will be here soon. The wails sounded like vengeful spirits screaming, scaring me so much that I dove into the closet, clamping my hands over my ears. 3 years ago, when our family was dirt poor, mother somehow stumbled upon this secret method. She claimed that the cries of a newborn could attract wealth. The fiercer the cry, the more money would flow in. At first, mother didn't believe it, but when our family was starving, with nothing left to eat, my sister, still unmarried, had a child. Without milk, the baby cried incessantly all day. The next morning, our family's land was expropriated, and we were compensated tens of thousands of yuan. That money somewhat eased our financial burden. I still remember the exhilarated look in mother's eyes then. This method really works. Our family is about to change its destiny. From that day on, mother tried every means to make the baby cry, refusing to feed it milk or water. Eventually, when it had no strength left, she would strangle it. By the time my sister was strong enough to get out of bed, the baby had cried until its mouth was full of blood, barely clinging to life. Not even a doctor could save it. That day, my sister cried herself almost unconscious, while mother's eyes twinkled with glee. She clutched the heaven-sent money, excitedly gripping our hands. This method cannot be stopped. Our family will definitely become incredibly rich in the future. From that day forward, mother forced my sister into continuous pregnancies. After childbirth, she would take the baby out into the yard and beat it, letting it cry until it died completely. The lucky ones might get a few full meals and live for half a year. The unlucky ones couldn't even survive a week, just like the current baby. The cries outside gradually faded, but I felt no joy at all. Sure enough, not long after, mother stood by the window, screaming, "Dead so soon? It only cried for a few days. Where's that girl? Go bury it now." I went out to the yard and saw the tiny body, wrapped in cloth, a bloody mess of flesh and bones. The hill behind was our village's burial ground, also the final resting place for every infant born into our family. Pinching my nose, I walked over, skillfully found a vacant spot to dig a hole, then took the bundle to wash it in the river water. By the time I finished burying it, the sky was already faintly lit. Before I could even return home, I heard mother's curses from the doorway. She seemed to possess an inexhaustible wellspring of energy. Every time she faced us, she wore the face of a malevolent demon, only cracking a smile when money was involved. "Didn't I tell you to go out and find a man early this morning? Why is your belly still flat? If I knew this, I would have fed the dogs my food. They'd have a whole litter by now." My sister stood silently in the courtyard, her shirt torn as mother pulled and beat her. "Useless thing, go back to your room and stay there. Soon I'll call Mr. Zhang over." I was instantly terrified. Every time Mr. Zhang came, my sister's room would echo with desperate screams. But mother always greeted him warmly, even bringing him chicken eggs to thank him. I couldn't bear it any longer. I knelt, pleading with her to let my sister rest, even if just for one night. My plea was met with a stinging slap. Mother gritted her teeth and spat. "Who do you think you are to lecture me? If you pity her so much, then you take her place. Isn't she in this state because of you?" My throat constricted, and my cheeks burned. My sister limped out and stood in front of me. "Mother, she's only 16, she doesn't know anything. I'm enjoying myself." After saying that, she pushed me aside, swaying as she continued, "Those old men are useless, they can't get anything done. Let me go out and find someone myself. I guarantee I'll be pregnant this month, you'll see." Mother smiled radiantly like a flower, then waited for my sister to leave before spitting on the ground. "See, your sister is cheap trash, goes wild without a man. Not satisfied with just having fun, she has to go find more herself." I couldn't believe it. I quickly got up and chased after her. My sister walked very fast, heading straight up the hill behind the village, stopping at the burial ground. All around were dead animal carcasses and old graves. There couldn't be any men here. A sense of foreboding washed over me. I froze, not daring to take another step. My sister bent down, searching for something, finally stopping right where I had buried the baby that morning. Then she knelt and began digging at the soil with her hands. I clapped my hand over my mouth, unable to believe my eyes at the scene unfolding. My sister had actually dug up that body with her own hands, hugging it tightly as if it were a precious treasure. And stranger still, the bloody, jumbled mass of flesh wriggled. It was as if it had come back to life. A tiny, bruised hand wrapped around my sister's neck and crawled onto her body. It moved like an incessant worm, finally stopping at my sister's thigh. "Go back, my love, mother's womb is the safest place." Hearing my sister's call, the baby truly crawled down to her lower body and disappeared inside. I was utterly stunned, my mind blank, not daring to linger any longer. I turned and ran straight home. That evening, my sister returned. Within a few days, Grandma too from the village came to take her pulse and declared my sister was pregnant. Mother was instantly overjoyed, but I felt a chill run down my spine. Her belly grew exceptionally fast. In just 3 months, it was so large that my sister had difficulty walking. My sister seemed to notice my unease and pulled me to her bedside. "Little sister, have you seen anything strange lately?" I quickly shook my head, not daring to reveal the truth, only asking, "Sister, if you keep having babies like this, aren't you afraid?" My sister didn't press further, just told me to touch her belly, smiling as she said, "Why would I be afraid? Are you afraid of me?" I thought carefully, then finally shook my head. No matter what, my sister would never harm me, so this baby wouldn't either. She smiled, stroking my head. "If I'm no longer around someday, please keep this baby by my side." I didn't want to hear such words, my eyes immediately reddened. "Are you tired, sister? I already asked Aunt Zhang. In a few years, I can have babies for you too." "Don't talk nonsense." My sister pinched my cheek, telling me to touch her belly more. After hearing my sister's words, I was no longer afraid of that baby. What's a ghost? What's a human? It seemed there was no difference. Before long, Mother started to fret because the family was running out of money due to her extravagant spending. The money in the house was gradually dwindling. The city house was bought on installment, debts piled up each month, and Mother kept gambling, losing everything. Debt collectors had started coming to our door, threatening to chop off hands if payment wasn't made within 3 days. That day, Mother dragged my sister to a small clinic in town, telling the doctor to perform an early C-section on her and to check on me while they were at it. The doctor was a middle-aged woman over 50, with yellowed teeth. She groped me from head to toe, then reported back to Mother. "The women in the village are gossiping about your elder daughter. This younger girl is ready to bear children now. My younger sister was also that age back then. Early births recover even faster." Mother breathed a sigh of relief, her joyful gaze fixed on me. "That's good then. We'll have the elder daughter operated on later. Remember not to harm the child. You must save it. A C-section before full term is extremely dangerous. They plan to abandon my sister after the surgery, not letting her survive the operating table. That whole bunch was colluding. It was unbelievable." I turned to find Grandma too. She knew a bit about traditional herbal medicine. Maybe she could save my sister. We ran frantically, but when we reached the door and saw basins full of blood, she just shook her head. "Don't bother, she can't be saved." I burst into tears and rushed inside, seeing my sister's face pale green, constantly calling for her child. Because there were people standing around, Mother coldly tossed the baby to my sister. My sister wiped my tears, then tightly gripped my hand, placing the baby in my arms. "After I'm gone, you must protect it." With that, she let out a final breath and passed away. I cried until I lost consciousness, vaguely remembering Grandma too holding onto me, warning, "Child, the baby your sister bore is covered in dark energy. For the next 3 days, you must be careful. Absolutely do not let the child cry loudly, or something terrible will happen." Before I could hear everything, I fainted from overwhelming grief. In the darkness, I seemed to see my sister, her 5 senses blossoming on an apple, which Mother violently ripped off and then crushed with a stomp. Useless thing, if you can't turn into money, what's the point of living? My sister's eyes wept red liquid, gaping cracks transforming into a mouth, continuously screaming at me. I opened my eyes in terror, only to realize those sounds were coming from the yard outside. My sister's baby was on the ground, next to a broken cup and powdered milk. Mother, hair disheveled, crawled on the ground, screaming like an animal, even banging a plastic bottle against the floor, trying to make the baby cry aloud. But the strange thing was, no matter what she did, the baby just stared blankly at her, like a soulless doll. Didn't that wench give birth to a ghost fetus? Don't cling to me. Mother seemed frightened too. She turned and threw the plastic bottle at me. You go hit it. If it doesn't cry, drown it with water. I stood still, unmoving. I looked at the baby, unable to lift my feet to approach. Even you're defying me, aren't you? Mother angrily spun around and yanked my hair. Don't forget your sister died because of you, because you wouldn't share her burden. You want to pretend to be a good person, don't you? Just you wait. With that, she stormed out in a rage. I quickly picked up the baby and went to my sister's room to prepare milk. But before I could even finish feeding it, Mother rushed back, followed by a dark-skinned middle-aged man. There it is, right here. The useless elder one is dead. The second one is still a virgin. You see what price you can offer. How much do you want? The man looked me up and down, grinning slyly. Only the first time is worth money. After that, it's an extra 100 each time. I can't pay more than that. Then take her, I need money right now. She hastily snatched the baby from my arms and roughly shoved me out. The man reeked of body odor and was incredibly strong. Seeing me struggle, he kicked me hard in the stomach, grabbed my hair, and dragged me roughly. The baby, huddled in Mother's arms, stared at me with its black eyes, then suddenly opened its mouth and let out a piercing scream. That scream was ear-splitting, desperate, and chilling. In an instant, the sky turned dark. The man released me, seemingly sensing something amiss, and slowly retreated, his voice trembling. This baby, why is its cry so strange? What do you know, that's the sound of money. Mother cackled, placing the baby on the ground, spinning around and clapping her hands like a madwoman. I've heard this sound in the cemetery before. Could this baby be? The man looked at Mother as if she were insane, then glanced at the pitch-black sky and turned to flee. But in the next second, the crumbling wall collapsed with a thunderous crash. I saw his head explode like a smashed watermelon, his body buried under rubble, blood splattering everywhere, less than a meter away from me. The baby, I don't know when, had fallen silent, crawling like a tiny worm on the ground, then turned and smiled at me. In an instant, goosebumps erupted all over my body, my legs turned to jelly, unable to stand. Mother looked over, suddenly screamed, and lunged forward like a madwoman, trampling over the man's corpse, rushing towards the corner of the wall. Gold, there's gold here. I watched in astonishment. In the corner, indeed, was a golden Buddha statue, half stuck in the brick crevice, its brilliant golden light still dazzling, hidden for who knows how long. Something this big is worth tens of thousands of yuan at least. Mother gleefully rushed out, not bothering to glance back at the naked child lying motionless on the ground. It had cried for too long, its body weak. Now its face was paper-white, stiff, lying still without a twitch. I was startled, quickly wrapped the baby, and turned to run down the hill to Grandma Tu's house in the village. Grandma Tu took the baby, glanced at it, and immediately shook her head. It can't be saved anymore. What do you mean? My whole body went numb. It was just crying a moment ago. Is it dead already? Not just a moment ago, she sighed, taking out a yellow talisman, burning it, then suddenly pressed it onto the baby's body. I was afraid and reached out my hand, but then I caught a glimpse of what I was holding. It was a decaying skeleton, with only a little flesh remaining on its face, turned into a pulpy paste, emitting a nauseating stench. This baby must have died 2 or 3 years ago. Recalling my sister's unwitting words, my stomach churned. I dared not hold it anymore, hastily wrapped it up and placed it on the table nearby. So what happened just now? Did it come back to life? Grandma Tu shook her head. This baby's resentment is too heavy. While it was in your sister's womb, it was infected by your sister's vengeful energy. After it was born, it was brutally beaten to death, so it transformed into a ghost fetus, unable to rest even in death. I had never believed in ghosts, but after witnessing gold fall from the sky and then seeing a ghost fetus in my arms, I was utterly terrified. By now, the sky outside was dark, thick with black clouds, and inside the house a corpse lay there, its empty eye sockets still staring at me. I screamed, turning to run home. Grandma, too, pulled me back, shouting a warning. Resentment turns to malice. If you don't bury this baby, it will return to your home. The malicious energy will be imperceptible. The more it accumulates, the worse your family's fate will become, and you will die faster. By then, neither you nor your mother will have a good end. I was so scared my legs turned to jelly, and I collapsed completely to the ground before Grandma, too. Grandma, please save me, I don't want to die. Grandma, too, said nothing, just picked up an iron shovel and told me to carry the baby and lead the way. The immediate task was to find my sister's grave and place the child inside. If it returned to its mother, perhaps this ghost fetus would no longer cause trouble. The sky began to drizzle. I stopped before a tombstone and told her, "It's right here." But when we finished digging up the soil on the grave, the sight before me left me numb. My sister's coffin was empty, there was nothing inside. The long, black box seemed like a pair of eyes staring at us. How can this be? I clearly saw them bury my sister with my own eyes. How can there be nothing? I screamed in panic. Turning back, I saw Grandma Two's face was pale, her wrinkled skin stiff as wax, frozen in place. "It's over, it's too late now." She pointed to the sky full of black clouds, shaking her head repeatedly. "Go home, child, the sky is about to change color. This matter no longer concerns you. Go, listen to me, as far away as possible." "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice trembling, so panicked I forgot to breathe. "What about my sister? Where did she go?" Her icy gaze swept over me. "Your sister crawled out of the coffin herself. It seems she's making her way back home." Those words sent a shiver down my spine, and the rain overhead fell heavier. Grandma, too, turned and quickly walked home. Before leaving, she warned me not to interfere no matter what I saw or heard in the coming days. I had to leave this place as soon as possible. But her words were nothing but wild tales to me, for my mother would absolutely never let me go anywhere. Even if I fled to town, I had no money for transport. I would surely be caught and brought back. I walked back in the rain, seeing Mother fumbling with cooking. In the courtyard, a strange man I had never seen before had appeared. He was around my age, but for some reason, he gave me a disturbingly familiar feeling. As soon as Mother saw me, she started cursing. "Where have you been messing around, wandering off again? You don't even know how to cook." I wiped my face, murmuring, "I've buried the baby." "Get lost right now." Mother's face instantly darkened upon hearing this. "Don't talk about such things to me. It's terribly unlucky. If someone hears it later, it will affect my house sale." It was then that I realized the young man was there to view the house. A house in this remote village wasn't worth much. Mother had specifically invited him to see it because she wanted to sell it for a high price. If he knew what had happened here, the price would likely be driven down. Thinking of this, a sudden chill ran down my spine. I had never before realized how many people had died in our house. If what Grandma too said about the malicious energy was true, then that yard must already be teeming with ghosts. As I stood there dazed, Mother suddenly patted my back from behind, a sinister smile on her face. "Tonight, I'm giving you an opportunity. Seize it well, your sister never got this kind of treatment." Opportunity? I hadn't even fully understood what she meant when my body felt something unusual. From my lower abdomen, a hot surge steadily rose, gradually spreading through my limbs. Mother had drugged me. Remembering the man who had just been brought in, I turned and rushed into the bedroom, quickly locked the door, and then pushed the wardrobe to block it. My body felt as if ants were crawling on it, my mouth and tongue dry, growing increasingly uncomfortable. I lunged to the bedside to drink water, but suddenly I saw the blanket bulge, and heavy breathing sounds came from within. Impossible, the man crawled out from under the blanket, his face also abnormally flushed. He snatched my cup of water and poured it directly over his own head. Immediately after, he lunged at me. Just as I was about to scream, he suddenly raised his hand and slapped himself across the face. Smack! The sound of the slap resonated. He hit himself so hard that blood trickled from the corner of his lips. I shrieked, but before I could cry out, he covered my mouth. "Don't say anything more." "I came to find you. My name is Liang Feng." Hearing that name, I finally sobered up. It turned out this was not a stranger, but my sister's first boyfriend, also named Liang Feng. I heard he was a shaman in town. Once, he came to the edge of the village looking for my sister, and I only dared to look from afar. Later, Mother found out he was poor and wouldn't let them be together, even beating their child to death. I hadn't seen him since. You came to find my sister." I choked, tears falling. She's gone." I know, Liang Feng's face turned pale. He gently covered my mouth again, not letting me cry out loud. I'm here to help you. His voice was deep and I couldn't hear him clearly. A strange heat emanated from him. I instinctively reached out and hugged him. At that very moment, he again raised his hand and slapped me hard, then gritted his teeth and pulled my arm up. Hit me quickly, otherwise neither of us will be able to think clearly. My ears rang from the slap, but my mind suddenly cleared a little. I struck back, hitting him directly in the face. Just like that, we screamed and hit each other until our faces were bruised. But when nosebleeds started, the intoxicating heat on my body significantly subsided. Liang Feng finally let out a breath, looking at me with a serious expression. I can take you out of here, give you some money, and you can leave tomorrow. Or, we can stay and avenge your sister. He finished speaking before I could, then reminded me, think carefully, your sister's body, I've brought it back home. That malicious energy can affect everyone living in this house, so it's very possible we might not be able to leave here. I didn't hesitate, nodding firmly. I'm not leaving. I want revenge. Liang Feng and I didn't recover until midnight. He also told me what had happened over the past period. Actually, after the baby passed away, he did return to the village. But my sister didn't want to see him anymore, saying she had to atone for their child. After that, they each went their separate ways. He understood my sister's suffering, so he quit his job in town and went to the city to earn money, thinking that once he had enough, he would come back for her. He never expected that when he returned, they would be separated by life and death. When Liang Feng spoke, his tone was very calm, but his tightly clenched fingers trembled continuously. He said Mother wanted to move to the city, which was why she was so eager to sell the house because she had a man in the city. That man was very young, an employee at a bar. He said that as long as she had a house, they would get married. Liang Feng also said he had investigated that man. He was simply looking for a big score, seeing Mother frequently depositing money at the bank, and wasn't sincere at all. Of course, I ground out, my voice filled with bitterness. That cruel, malicious woman doesn't deserve true affection her entire life. As I spoke, I suddenly remembered something and turned to ask him, "Did you bring my sister back? Where did you put her?" Liang Feng smiled faintly, pointing to Mother's room, under her bed. Mother would probably never guess that the person she herself killed was lying dead under her own bed, her eyes wide open, watching her. I imagined that scene and immediately felt a cold shiver down my spine, but Mother was completely unaware. The next morning, seeing Liang Feng and me sharing a bed, she gleefully squinted her eyes, specifically bringing me fertility-inducing medicine. She even pulled Liang Feng back, not letting him leave. "Liang, you stay here and take a closer look. Later, tell your company to pay a bit more for this house. You can have whatever you want later. If they don't agree, just bring them here to see it, and let them enjoy the benefits of this house too." As she spoke, her gaze swept over me as if I were merchandise. Liang Feng agreed to stay, and so he remained for 7 days straight. At first, Mother still made us drink the medicine, but later, seeing us willingly go into the room, she relaxed. Occasionally, she would taunt people. "See? Thought you were so precious, but change the person, and it's completely different, still the same cheap kind." The gossiping neighbors cackled like monkeys, munching on melon seeds, asking, "Did you manage to pair them up? When's the wedding?" Mother's face instantly darkened. "Wedding? What wedding? How much money can that kid make? How my daughter gets married is my business." The women added more compliments, saying Mother was looking for a more well-off man for me. I felt nauseous inside. She claimed to be finding a good man for me, but in reality, she was looking for an old man. The older he was, the more money she would get. In the blink of an eye, the babies had that 7th day after death, often a significant day for rituals, arrived, the day Liang Feng had been waiting for. We leaned our backs against the door, listening intently outside. Everyone was silent. Exactly at midnight, suddenly there was a strange sound of footsteps outside. Not quite footsteps, but more like something scraping on the ground, small yet moving very quickly. I peeked through the window frame, so scared I nearly fell. The baby was crawling on the floor, its deeply sunken eye socket staring straight at the door. Then it climbed rapidly up the wall like a spider, finally stopping right in front of the door. Immediately after, a knock, knock, knock sounded from outside. "Who's there?" Mother called out, waiting, but heard no reply. Then she went back inside the house. Liang Feng and I looked at each other, intending to open the door, but Mother had locked it from the outside long ago, to prevent us from escaping and to ensure we fulfilled her task of bearing children for her. What do we do now? I was a bit anxious. Just as I was about to stand up, Liang Feng pulled me back. At the same time, the outer door suddenly creaked open. No, Mother was in her bedroom. Who else was home? Could it be my sister crawling out from under the bed, intentionally opening the door for that baby? I pressed my face to the floor, peering through the gap under the door, and vaguely saw a long red dress hovering in midair, no face visible, no feet. Then, in the very next second, that streak of red suddenly flew with extreme speed under Mother's bed and blended into the dark night. I was so scared I couldn't breathe, holding my breath and trembling. Next, I saw the infant quickly crawling in the living room, seemingly searching for a scent. Immediately after, its eyes pressed close to where I was, blocking the door crack completely. My scalp tingled, and in that moment I even felt my soul about to leave my body. However, very quickly, it turned and left, scurrying straight onto Mother's bed, then snuggling into her belly, disappearing almost instantly. Finally, I couldn't endure it any longer. I swayed, collapsed to the floor, and lost consciousness. When I woke up the next morning, Liang Feng had packed his belongings and was preparing to leave. He said his task was complete, and what I did next was up to me, predicting I too could leave this place soon. I didn't understand the meaning behind his words, so I said goodbye and walked home. But before I even stepped into the yard, Mother's excited voice rang out. "I'm pregnant! Oh my God, I'm pregnant!" The village midwife stood at the gate, taking Mother's pulse, and said with certainty, "Indeed, you are, and by the looks of it, you're quite far along. Did you miss your period this month?" Mother's eyes lit up. "Yes, at first I thought it had stopped for good, never thought I was pregnant. Dear, quickly tell me if it's a boy or a girl." As she spoke, she pressed a wad of money into the midwife's hand. The midwife's eyes immediately brightened. A boy? Guaranteed to be a boy. As soon as she saw me return, Mother immediately pulled me over. "You let her check you too." The midwife placed her hand on my wrist, then subtly frowned and shook her head. "This one has no activity." Mother's face darkened, and she grabbed my hand, pulling me back into the house. "My family needs a child's cry to bring in wealth." At first, I felt guilty for not being able to help, but then Mother got pregnant. Doesn't that solve the money problem? As soon as I said it, a scorching slap landed on my cheek. Mother was like a wild beast, one hand cradling her belly, the other pointing at me, her eyes venomous. "What idiotic nonsense are you spouting? Your younger brother is this family's treasure. How dare you say such unlucky things? If you dare to speak like that again, I'll tear your mouth apart." She was extremely careful with the child in her womb, constantly reminding me to get pregnant quickly so that when the boy was born, she could use the child in my belly to earn another fortune. Her sudden change terrified me. I truly couldn't understand it. Was there really such a difference between her and me? Why was her child a treasure, while my sister's and mine were merely tools? Why did she cherish the one in her womb yet treat my sister and me so cruelly? Weren't we also her children? In that moment, I truly felt my mother had rotted from the inside out. If I had never seen her gentle side, perhaps I wouldn't have hated her so much. She deserved to go to hell. Surely living like this was worse than death. And that thought quickly became reality. Her belly grew larger and larger, but the baby inside seemed to deliberately torment her, constantly draining her life force. She began to eat like a maniac, yet her limbs grew even thinner, her cheeks hollowed, looking like nothing more than a skeleton draped over a bloated belly. In less than a month, she was no longer recognizable as human, having to lean on walls wherever she went, her legs trembling as if they might snap, unable to support that enormous belly. I remembered Liang Feng's words before he left, that the baby would drain her blood dry, eventually turning her into a living corpse. This place could no longer be endured. That evening, I packed my belongings, took money from Mother's cabinet, and prepared to leave. She lay on the bed, cursing me, but she ran out of breath after only a few words and certainly couldn't stop me. I followed the trail down the mountain but suddenly passed my sister's grave. Since that night, the body under the bed had vanished. Who knew when it had returned to the coffin, lying still? I knelt, kowtowed in the cold, but couldn't bring myself to leave. Should I just leave like this? I clearly hadn't seen Mother's retribution yet, but to just let her be would be too easy for her. My sister had endured such inhuman abuse. What right did I have to let Mother simply live and die on her own terms? I knelt before my sister's grave all night, finally returning home. From that day on, I cooked and cared for Mother daily. Whenever the ghost fetus was about to drain her blood and flesh dry, I would prepare many delicious, greasy, nutritious dishes, pry open her mouth, and pour them in. Mother, you cherish your son so much, you can't let him go. Later, I learned that animal organs were the best for nourishing blood and chi asterisk. So every evening I would prepare a large bucket of raw meat, still dripping with blood. Mother seemed terrified, constantly dry heaving, refusing to open her mouth no matter what. But the baby in her womb had long been spoiled and greedy by my feeding. With food refusing to enter its stomach, it would riot inside, kicking hard at Mother's belly. One could even see blood-stained bruises through her skin. Mother writhed on the floor in pain, eventually having no choice but to eat all those foul-smelling, reeking things. That feeling was truly exhilarating. Every time this happened, I wished my sister could also witness this scene. But the more I thought this way, the more hatred grew within me, and the more I wanted to change the methods to torture Mother. By the time she was nearing her due date, I had almost exhausted all my methods, so I asked Liang Feng to help me find the man Mother was infatuated with in the city. It turned out he had long since quit his job at that bar and was now unemployed, frequently appearing in a luxurious apartment complex. I inquired and discovered he was married to a hot-tempered heiress who was very image-conscious. Knowing his profession involved frequent contact with women, she had forced him to quit his job. With such possessive nature, if she knew her husband was doing such things behind her back, I wondered how she would react. I suddenly felt curious. Liang Feng dropped me off. Before he left, his face was filled with worry. Are you still planning to stay? You should leave. Staying will only drag you deeper. I leave the past to the past. I glanced at him, scoffing contemptuously. I can't let it go. Liang Feng, I'm grateful for what you did for my sister, but deep down, I still consider you a coward. She was pregnant with your child then, you knew it clearly, so why didn't you risk everything to take her away instead of saying you'd earn enough money and come back? Did you ever think about what my sister would endure at home? Liang Feng flinched, remaining silent for a long time. Throughout this time, I realized I had changed. I wanted to torture Mother. Perhaps my mentality had been twisted for a long time, but I believed my sister and I were of one heart, so she would be happier seeing this. Mother was nearing her due date, bedridden for 3 years, fearing something would happen to the child in her womb. She dared not go out, but someone came looking for her. A woman with eyes sharp as knives, wearing bright red lipstick, kicked open our front door, screaming and cursing, "You cheap whore, come out here. How dare you steal my husband and not admit it?" Mother was vaguely confused until she saw the man behind the woman. The moment their eyes met, the man panicked and fled outside. Then the woman suddenly grabbed me, shoving me away, cursing loudly as she pushed. "You shameless hussy, I told you to go to the city to buy medicine for me, and instead you ran off to seduce men." I was completely numb. Before I could even open my mouth, the woman landed a slap. "I'll teach you for being a homewrecker." The next second, a asterisk smack rang out. The slap didn't land on my face, but on Mother's. Because she refused to admit anything, I had no choice but to turn her face to take the slap. "What are you doing messing around?" Mother suddenly erupted in fury, her entire face swollen like a pig's head, screaming and pushing me away. "I'm messing around, I'm helping you," I said, then turned to look at the other woman. "Although I don't want to prove myself since you can't reason politely, I'll tell you directly. Your husband's mistress is not me, but my mother. Furthermore, she's carrying your husband's child in her belly. If you don't believe me, you can pull him back and ask, but it seems he's already bolted," his conscience pricked. The woman turned around, her face instantly becoming ugly. "Damn it. This kind of rotten old hag is even edible. What do you take me for?" She went berserk, began tearing at Mother's hair, dragging her off the bed, and forcefully kicking her belly, her intention as clear as day. Mother was utterly panicked, lying on the ground like a toad, frantically begging and screaming. "Please, don't touch my child. I only have this one son in my entire life. I cannot lose him. I'm despicable, I'll stay away from him, okay? I'll never bother you two again. I beg you, please don't hit my son." Looking at her pleading face, my heart tightened with a pang of pain. These words she had never once said to my sister or me. Mother's belly was too large. That woman only kicked once and Mother was bleeding. "My son, quickly call the midwife." Seeing this, the woman also panicked and hurriedly left. Mother writhed and screamed in pain. I grabbed her hand, pressing it firmly against her belly. "Why call the midwife? Do you really want to give birth to this baby?" "Of course, it's my son. But the baby in your belly is tormenting you like this. It might not even be obedient when born." "So what? It's still my son." Watching her endure the pain, I suddenly blurted out, "What about me and sister? Weren't we your children too? Why were we just tools to make money? Why did you never love or respect us? Mother froze, her face bewildered, as if she had never asked herself that question. After a long moment, she finally said, "Because you too are girls. I didn't have the heart to throw you away, and I even fed you. That's already more than enough." So that's all it was for. I sprang up, lifted Mother, and walked outside. "Don't worry, Mother, I'm taking you to call the midwife." I supported her steps, my back pressed against her belly, feeling the constant turmoil within as if it was about to burst out at any moment. Then I stopped. "Are we there yet? Hurry and call the midwife." Mother suddenly looked up, but in the next second her eyes widened in horror, for in front of her was not the midwife's house, but my sister's grave. I laid her down on the ground and waved towards her belly. "Come out, my child." Mother began screaming in agony. A pitch-black shadow slowly crawled out from her belly. Finally, it crawled up her legs and then onto her body. The stench of decay filled the entire space. Those empty eye sockets pressed close to Mother's face, then it chuckled. The next second, it opened its bloody mouth and bit down hard on Mother's face. Desperate cries for help echoed in my ears. I knelt, looking at Mother, shaking my head. "No, Mother, you need to cry louder, just like those other babies, so my sister down there can hear you." I don't know how much time passed, but silence returned. Mother lay motionless on the ground, her entire face gnawed beyond recognition. The villagers, hearing the commotion, ran over and were filled with terror at the sight. "Child, what happened here?" I feigned being distraught, pointing towards the burial ground below the mountain. "My mother. She found out the baby was a girl, and she said it was a loss and wanted to strangle it. Who knew that baby would rise up and seek revenge on her?" As these words left my lips, several women present immediately blanched. "Revenge? Something like that happened?" "Yes." I wiped away tears, pointing downwards. "That evil spirit has run down the mountain. It said it would gather all the wrongfully deceased baby girls to seek revenge on everyone." Upon hearing this, most of those present changed color, hastily finding excuses to flee down the mountain. I didn't know if this method could prevent anything, but at least it could give those babies another resting place. I brushed the dirt from my clothes, intending to leave, but just as I was about to go, I suddenly heard someone call my name. The wind rustled through the trees. My sister stood on the hillside, leading a child about 2 or 3 years old, smiling and waving at me. "Little sister, let's go. Go far, far away. Never come back again."